Will all of Donald Trump's nominees be confirmed by the Republican Senate?
I feel pretty good about a lot of them. I would not be surprised if Pete Hegseth gets 52. We'll see.
It feels that way.
Yeah, it feels like he's going to get...
I'll be a lot more specific. They don't like Tulsi Gabbard.
They don't like Tulsi. I think RFK's got some problems.
But you can't...
I feel good. I feel good about Pete. I feel good about Russ Vogt. I think Russ is going to be one of the more...
Russ is great.
It's going to be one of the most important... Nobody really talks about OMB outside of D.C. I'm telling you, one of the most important vehicles that Donald Trump will be able to use to deconstruct and dismantle the administrative state is OMB. And you got to have somebody like Russ Vogt. Ed Martin's going to be the chief of staff. Bishop as his deputy. And then I'm hoping he gets Eric Ueland in as deputy director of management. That's a rock star team at OMB. Marty McCary, FDA.
Amazing.
Yeah, that would be huge. Paul Atkins at SEC. I feel good about that. So I think a lot of these people are going to...
But you can't...
I think he's going to get overwhelming number of them through without too many problems. I think Tulsi and RFK are going to be question marks, if I'm being honest.
I don't think you can tolerate that.
I don't either.
Yeah, I mean, because it's one thing to get like, and I don't want to, I don't want to attack anybody. This hasn't even started, but there are some nominees who are just like whatever. They're like everyone. They don't have views that are consistent with what Trump ran on. That's a fact. And so, if the Republican Congress rubber stamps their buddies, whatever.
Right.
But I'm sorry, they're not in charge of the Republican Party. They're a lot less popular than Donald Trump, and I don't understand if you're. Bobby Kennedy's point is like really important. He's not a perfect person, but we have a system that is killing people, and he's a step in the right direction. Same with Tulsi.
Yeah.
She's not a perfect person. No one is, but our foreign policy is insane, and it's hurting the United States. So, like, why wouldn't the White House call over to Republican senators and say, you get in our way, we're going to crush you? How's that sound? I mean it.
No, I've proposed this to certain people behind the scenes.
Yeah, like, let's go.
So
we're not going to put up with that.
Well, first of all, the agent of change. People voted for Donald Trump.
Yeah.
I mean, this was a very clear election. You get choice A, choice B, very different approaches to government and to the future. There was no real illusion about, like, there's no confusion about what people were voting for. And they voted definitively for Donald Trump. First Republican to win the popular vote since 2004. First Republican to win 311 electoral votes since 1988. First non-consecutive president since Grover Cleveland. I mean, this is a historical election. He wins. Agent of change. Agent of change gets his change agents in the various departments and agencies.
Well, yeah.
And the Senate gets to advise and consent. They don't get to say, no, we want our buddy, or we don't like this person, so we're not going to give you this person. Donald Trump won. Donald Trump won, and also, by the way, I would make the argument, help get them the Senate and the House. So you have majorities because of Donald Trump. Donald Trump won. Donald Trump would like these people to actually be in these departments and agencies. And unless they're a criminal, or unless there's some, terrible thing in their past that is disqualifying, you get to confirm them. End of story.
But let's be honest, Tulsi Gabbard and Bobby Kennedy are opposed by lobbyists. That's
Correct.
What opposes them.
Right.
Bobby Kennedy is opposed by pharma and ag lobbyists. Tulsi Gabbard is opposed by lobbyists acting on behalf of foreign countries. That's a fact.
Yeah.
So there is no reason that lobbyists should take precedent over the population of the United States. And so why wouldn't you say to a couple, I can think of a couple.
Yeah, but then you're acting, but DC, you've been in DC, I've been around 25 years.
But where's the cleansing sort of justice where you call up certain senators, I'm not going to name names, and say, not only will we primary you and make certain you lose your Senate seat, we'll make certain you don't get a job after you leave the Senate. And then we're going to unleash some of the toughest people in the Republican Party to take a really close look at you.
So I proposed
we're going to do to you what you plan to do to our nominees. How's that sound?
I have proposed to some people behind the scenes that Donald Trump should have a very honest conversation with some of these senators.
Yeah.
You have friends and family and associates that would like to be involved in this administration. Some of you have primaries in 2026. Let me be very clear here. If you oppose or vote against any of my nominees, I will find primary opponents for you in 26. Also, none of your family or friends or associates will ever find a job inside of this administration.
Ever.
I will become one of your worst enemies.
But also, if you're going to attack if you're going to sit back and allow people to call Bobby Kennedy a nutcase,
right,
and Tulsi Gabbard an agent of a foreign power, really? I mean, I'm thinking of one senator in particular from the Northeast. Whatever. Without even getting in,
right.
These are people who are vulnerable.
Yes.
Really, we're going to look into Bobby Kennedy's behavior? Well, how about we look into yours?
I think they're
like,
using...
let's not play. I'm sick of this.
I know. I think they're trying the carrot approach right now, and I'm...
Well, we need the flaming sword of justice at a certain point.
I'm usually the stick approach first.
Yeah.
So I'd really like the big stick to come out. Let's see how these hearings begin in really just a couple days, how they start to play out. But I think there needs to be a conversation behind the scenes of, we'd love for you to do the right thing. And if you don't, there are going to be serious consequences.
Imagine
because most of these elected officials, this is the one thing that I've noticed about DC, having been there for way too long. They are experts in self-preservation.
Yeah.
They want to come back.
Care about.
Right. They want to come back in 2 years as a member of the House. They want to come back in 6 years as a member of the Senate. Let's have a little chit chat about what your political future looks like if you don't want to actually give me my nominees.
Well, especially on the basis of no good reason,
Right.
on the basis of like the most corrupt motives, pressure from lobbyists to oppose. And I just want to be clear. It's Bobby Kennedy and Tulsi Gabbard we're talking about. I think you're absolutely right. And they're going to impugn their characters.
This is how DC has operated for way too long. That
Tulsi Gabbard has never had a sip of alcohol in her life. They're going to call her a bad person? Really?
the corporation, the corporate lobbyists, and all of these various interests have way too much say in how a senator actually or congressman actually operates instead of the people that actually voted them into office. And you and I both know this because the lobbyists are in there every day, pressuring, making sure there's a lot of money coming in for the reelection campaign so they can get reelected, the idea of self-preservation. It's a pretty, there's a whole host of things wrong with our system today, but this is one of them. What the bell that rings that they respond to is not the right bell.
If you're still using Verizon, AT&T, or T-Mobile, obviously our condolences, but you're going to want to hear this. Our cell phone company, Pure Talk, gives us the exact same service you're currently getting from those big companies, but for half the cost. Not a joke. There's no reason to spend $85 or $100 per month per person on your wireless bill. Now you can get unlimited talk, text, and 15 gigs of data with mobile hotspots for just $35 a month. You don't have to be a math major. The average family of four saves about $1,000 a year with Pure Talk. You enjoy America's most dependable 5G network, support small businesses. We would know that because they are now powering TCN. It can probably save you money too. So cut the fat out of your wireless bill. Switch to Pure Talk by going to puretalk.com/Tucker. You'll save an additional 50% off your first month. Pure Talk, America's wireless company. So J.D. Vance said something I thought I'd never have forgotten it during the election. And he said, the Republican Party needs to be like a legit opposition party and needs to oppose the other side. Like, we need two parties, okay? We need to be in balance. And one of the things that the other side does, and this is the key to Pelosi, Pelosi's like kind of an idiot, but she's really tough.
Yes.
Like actually tough. And she just sit people down and just have, right. Daughter of a mafia mayor, like she knows how to do this from Baltimore.
Right.
And just like, let's be clear about what's going to happen if you do that. And I don't know a single person in the Republican Party who will do that.
This is what concerns me a little bit about the current Republican leadership in both the House and the Senate I wouldn't mind, politically speaking, I want to make that very clear. Politically speaking, it's okay to break a few legs and just say this is the reality of what's going to happen.
There are a lot of moist handshakes in the Republican leadership.
So this is a bigger frustration with the Republican Party. People give you power, political power, to use the political power to enact change. I think too many Republicans have come to D.C. and are like, isn't this a lovely experience? It's going to be a great career. We have a lot of careerists who are enjoying the fun career in D.C., and Democrats are like, by God, we have political power. We're going to break you to achieve what we want to achieve to fundamentally change and transform this country. They're religious zealots. And we're all sitting here going, oh, that's kind of mean. We probably shouldn't do that. If you have been given political power, you should freaking use the political power given to you by the American people, or they might start to question, why did we give you political power in the first place? Because you don't know how to use it.
Yeah, so I've watched this like for decades, and it's driving me slowly. It's slowly driving me crazy. But why isn't there like an outside group, like a super 501c3 of some sort, or C4, I guess, to do this? To say
this
like,
has been one of my arguments.
MoveOn.org. It's like, we're going to extract a cost if you don't serve your voters. It's super simple. You got elected on a program, you've ignored the program and the people who voted for the program in favor of lobbyists. You can't do that anymore. It's going to hurt you.
You know the RNC is never going to be that. Even though you would like the RNC.
It's gone. It doesn't even exist anymore. It's you and Charlie Kirk or have replaced it. So I get it.
We need a significant, and it's not minor, it's not tens of millions, right? You're talking with hundreds of millions every election cycle to have a proper enforcement mechanism of, you said you were going to do this, this is what the people voted for. If you do not toe the line on this, we will find a competent, credible primary candidate for you, and he or she will be well-funded, and we will crush you. That doesn't exist right now.
Well, and it's not just that. I mean, I look at people, including some in leadership, who clearly have had a hard conversation with someone who's like, we've got your online porn records, or we know who your boyfriend is, or, you know, you got wasted on a Codel to Croatia and acted like a pig, and we know that. I mean, clearly these are people who are being blackmailed. Like, I can think of one in particular who's clearly being blackmailed. And I'm against blackmail, but I'm also in favor of serving your constituents, of restoring democracy to the United States. People vote for something, they should get it. And they're not getting it, and they never get it. And I'm just...
The Republic is in the balance.
Yes.
And I would make the argument, I mean, one of the arguments I make in American Leviathan is we're not really a constitutional republic anymore.
You think?
We got a shot at restoring it. The Republic is at stake. Freedom is at stake. Liberty is at stake. The future of your kids, your grandkids, future generations is at stake. We are in a cold political war. We have been in a cold political war for decades with the un-American left. At some point, are you going to figure out the reality of what time it is, Republicans in D.C., before it's too late? And if you understand where we're at in our nation's history and the singular moment that we have and what is at stake, I would hope they would find it somewhere within themselves to go to the mats and to fight with everything they have for their future, for their children's future, for their grandchildren's future, and understand it might make you feel a little queasy in the moment, like this is really hardcore, we're using some pretty brutal tactics. Freedom, future of the country, there are a lot of things at stake. And not only for this country, for the world. I mean, think about who we are for the rest of the world. The United States. We are a beacon of hope. We are really the world's last great hope. We are, if we fall, there's nobody coming for us.
That's for sure.
Like there's absolutely no one that will come and save America if it falls.
We are the hope of the world.
We're the hope of the world.
Even as we decline, we're even more important, I think, as the last free place.
We have to think of the stakes not only for our country, but for the world as well.
I agree.
Dear God, find a backbone and understand if it's street-style brawling tactics that are necessary to win, I think it's justified in doing that because, for God's sake, they just tried to abuse our entire legal system and justice system to take out Donald Trump, quite frankly, others as well. Honestly, if they had won, I think they would have gone after some of us that are not in D.C. but are considered somewhat prominent in the conservative movement. No, I told people, I told my staff, and I told others that I was working with this last year in pretty significant project. There is a sense of urgency coming from me specifically, and there should be urgency from other leaders of organizations because if they win again, the next people that are going to show trial and lawfare are us. So we better freaking win. And if we don't win, we've got problems.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. We hope you'll subscribe to it. And by the way, you can hit the little bell on there and get notifications every time we produce a video. We hope you'll do that also.